In today's video, I am going to be breaking down Joel Embiid and how he shoots the basketball. If you are a stronger, bigger player similar to Joel Embiid, this video is going to help you possibly shoot the basketball better. Let's get down, let's check him out, let's see what makes him a 38% three-point shooter in the NBA. Okay, so we're going to be looking at different clips from him practicing before game, and also we're going to be looking at clips of him in game as well. So first off, when he gathers this ball, he does a slight dip. He gathers it at his stomach and dips down to about his waist before he lifts it up into his shooting form. Now, when he gets that ball, he does go onto his toes slightly. It's not a huge gap between his heels and the ground. We can see that right there. Not a huge gap at all. However, what we do notice is that his shoulders are over his knees, over his toes. That's going to allow him to be balanced. If he gets hit in the air or if he starts drifting in the air, it's going to allow him to be balanced out. And that's a very good shooting form, or at least a shooting base that we should call it. When he lifts the ball up into his set point, he doesn't bend his elbow all that much until that last little bit. The least amount of movement in your elbow, shoulder, hips, and knees and ankles is going to benefit you to have a more consistent three-point shot. When he does set up into his set point, we do notice that he does bring his shoulders back. He rolls them back first, and then that puts his shoulders in line with his heels, and then he lifts up into his shot, slightly drifting forward, but not by a ton. We also see that his legs straighten out before he leaves the ground, and that is putting a lot more pressure or a lot more power coming from his calves and not necessarily his quads. Is this important? Well, of course, he's already a tall player, so getting up into the air is not necessarily something that's going to benefit him hugely. It would actually probably benefit him more by not jumping as much, very similar to a Steph Curry shot. But there are a few things that we want to really look at, and that is his elbow is above his forehead, right at, if not above, which is good. That's going to allow him to have a lot of arc on his shot. We also see that he does not have a thumb flick. Players like Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving both have thumb flicks. Some players it benefits, other players it doesn't. And of course, generally speaking, you want to get your thumb off the ball anyways, because that's generally going to have inconsistencies with your shot. But I've already broken down Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving's jump shots, so definitely go check them out if you shoot with a thumb flick. Next, he has a soft release, very similar to Steph Curry. That is going to give him more arc on his shot, but it's going to cut down on the backwards rotation on the ball. He also keeps his release up there for a couple of milliseconds, which is good because, of course, he does make that shot, and he does make a lot of his shots, but if you go and don't keep your release up there for at least a couple of milliseconds, you could be affecting the ball if you pull your arms back early. We can see from this angle that his set point is in front of his face, above his head height. And if you actually draw lines as to where his face is, where his head is, it is up above his forehead, right in front. And we can see that he has very close to a 90-degree angle on his elbow, which will allow him to have a faster release, and you're going to generally want to see that if you don't jump very high on your shot, because if you don't jump high, it's going to be much easier for teams to try and block your shot. And what this also does for you is it makes it easier for people to break down your shot, because then they can see that your shoulder is in line with your elbow to the rim, and we can also see that the palm is off the ball. That's going to give him more control when shooting the ball. We can also see from this angle that that ball is over top of his upper arm, and that's going to be what I call that shooting triangle. This is extremely important if you want to shoot the ball better. So basically what this does is if the shoulder is in line with the elbow, that's straight. If that elbow is slightly out towards the right side in this case, that is usually going to push the ball out towards the opposite side, and of course vice versa. Elbows in, ball goes out that way. We can also see from this angle that he has a 3-finger release, and we can see it from other angles as well, and I'll show you that in a second, which generally means that he's going to have a middle finger true release. We can see that right here where he has all 3 fingers on the ball right there. So generally speaking, if you see that, sometimes cameras, we have to remember that it's 30 or 60 frames per second. This was recorded in 30 frames per second. It did not catch exactly what finger releases, but if we can see that there's 3 fingers on the ball just before release, it's going to be middle finger because middle finger is the longest finger. Even when he is fading away in a last second ditch attempt to try and make that shot, we can see that he has that ball over top of his arm, and he has a nice high release with the elbow above with a nice soft release as well. This is nice to see when there's only a couple of seconds left in the game. I hope that this video has helped you shoot the basketball better. Make sure to go check out all of the equipment that I use down in the description below, and I'll see you guys again next time.